Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our celebration of life this morning. If you want to get settled, I'll light our flame. Good morning. Thought I'd start us off with a quote about love this morning, our topic in preparation for Valentine's Day, and this is from Bell Hooks in her book All About Love, New Visions. How different things might be if, rather than saying, I think I'm in love, we were saying, I've connected with someone in a way that makes me think I'm on the way to knowing love. Or if instead of saying I am in love, we say I am loving or I will love. Our patterns around romantic love are unlikely to change if we do not change our language. My name is Sarah Drew, and I am the outreach coordinator here at First E and the facilitator for this morning. Our musician this morning is Elise Wick here in the first row. And we'll start with Elise in our first congregational song.
So y'all are welcome to use your tambourines and all that, but first, I'm going to ask you to do a little bit of American Sign Language with this song. If you'll take your middle finger and brush your heart, and that's the sign for glad. I'm so glad. And then take your hands and just circle them around like this. This is the sign for here, and this is today. So just like pointer finger and bring it down. So we're saying, I'm so glad I'm here today. Indeed. Indeed, and we can say, love brought me here, music brought me here, singing, dancing. Feel free to sign as much as you like, and later. This is a song from the Georgia Sea Islands, Bessie Smith, wonderful Sea Island singer, and it goes something like this.
Thank you, Elise. It's so nice to see people continuing to dance their way into their seats. It's my pleasure to welcome you this morning to First Existentialists. We are a spiritual community, philosophically based in existentialist and feminist principles, dedicated to human liberation. We make our spiritual home here, in the old stone church which was hand-built over 100 years ago by the African-American Antioch East Baptist Church. We acknowledge that racial hostility drove those African-Americans from the area, and we honor them and the powerful history of this place. We also acknowledge that in the 1800s, the Muskogee Creek people were driven from this land, and we support justice for all Indigenous people. This morning, as we continue to settle in together this morning, I thought I'd talk about a Hindu mythology that I've always really loved. And this mythology surmises that the reason why our anatomical heart is just to the right and not in the center is because just to the left, equal and opposite, and we know that that's about the size of a fist, there's a space for your emotional heart. And so if you can imagine that, or if you can imagine your emotional heart somewhere else in your body, you might draw your attention there just for a moment. Sometimes in the Hindu mythology, we're asked to imagine a little candle burning in that emotional heart. And you might take your next few breaths just giving that little flame, or big flame, a little extra love and attention, breathing in air to fill yourself with that love, and exhaling anything that's not serving you this morning. Taking just another breath or two when we move into the rest of our service. You can come back to the room as you're ready. And if you have any community announcements, you can please write them down and bring them up to me. I will announce them shortly. There should be pen and paper available at the back table. And also, please feel free to move around the sanctuary as you need during the entire service. We just ask that you do so quietly, as not to disturb others. We have coffee and tea in the kitchen at the back. And there's also a bathroom near the front entrance outside these doors, but in between the outside doors, and another one downstairs if that one is full. Next, we'll move to newcomer recognition. We take this moment to recognize any newcomers who might be here for the first or maybe second time. We don't want to put anybody on the spot, so, self-identify yourself if you want to. So please tell us your name and how you found out about First E. Do you have anybody who wants to? Yes, what's your name?
Hi, my name is Sarah Lesko, and I just saw the church on my evening walk, so it was interesting.
Wonderful. You said Farah with an F. Farah, welcome. You live in the neighborhood?
I live in Edgewood.
Okay, very nice. We're happy to have you here this morning. Any other newcomers? Go ahead.
My name is Rosemary. I'm Barb's, if you know Barbara.
Yeah.
I'm Barb's sister, and this is my cousin Joss. Jocelyn. We came down from Canada, if you haven't heard. Barb's wife Lynn passed away yesterday. So we drove down to be with Barb.
That's lovely. Obviously, we would like to have you here under different circumstances, but we're glad you're here.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else? All right, we'll move to birthdays and anniversaries. Anybody have a birthday or anniversary? We have a taker.
Okay, where's he?
All right, Carol.
I have to tell you, the first time I was sung happy birthday to was over 40 years ago when I was 40. And I am now 84. But I've been here for more than half my life.
Wow.
That just blew my mind when I thought of that today. So, sing me child, so I'll make it
Yeah,
to
sing it right. You heard her.
Elise, can you give us a note for happy birthday?
That was good, Carol. I hope you really soaked that in. I did. It's not even my birthday. All right. We're on to our second congregational song.
I have a special guest helping me with this song. Her name is Evie. And she hasn't learned it yet, so we're gonna learn it all together. But some of you may know it. This is a Chinese proverb. Yes. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our hands and make them sparkle like this. And that's the sign for light. Ready? Light. Good. And then we're going to put our hand over our heart and we're going to draw out like a silk handkerchief. This is a sign for soul. Let's do when there is light in the soul. And then we're going to transform it. There is, and then put your hand on your hip and take your hand and make beauty. There is beauty in the person. So we have, when there is light in the soul, there is beauty in the person. When there is beauty in the person, there is, this is a hard one. Let your hands face you. Some of you practiced this with me before. Bring them together and just interlace your fingers. Bring your elbows up, 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 up. Turn and make a circle. Just this means together, but when you put it together with this, it means harmony. So there is harmony in the home, and the home is where we eat and sleep. When there is harmony in the home, there is, it becomes, make the letter H and then honor. Take your H and just wind it down, circle around nation. When there is honor in the nation, there is peace, and then make W, circle them around in the world. All right, y'all ready to sign with me? You'll get sure when you go. Starts with light. When there is love in the soul, there is beauty in the person. When there is beauty in the person, there is harmony in the home. When
Now we'd like to take a minute for our fellowship minister moment. Hear from our fellowship minister, Reverend Marcia Michener. Marcia, would you like to come forward?
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Very good to see you here today. Once again, I'm glad that you made the choice to get out of bed, get dressed, come here. It's good to see you. There's an awful lot going on in the world. There's still a lot of war. There's famine. There's all kinds of negative energy and violence and things that are happening around us. But I hope that each one of us in our own way will do the kind of things that we just talked about and did our sign about in terms of trying to create peace within ourselves. That when we create peace within ourselves, then we can go out and begin to use that same energy that we have inside of us and share that with others. And in the process, be able to create what used to be kind of what I used to always love to call the Aquarian conspiracy from the old book. Those of you who are old like me, you may perhaps remember that book and remember how, the ideas that that we can, if we all come together, that each one of us in our own way, but we all come together in order to create a better world. So that's kind of my message today. Thank you.
Thank you, Marcia. I have 2 community announcements. I'm willing to take more if you have them. The first one is, I take back the first one. It was yesterday. There is a note on it to share COL, but that may have been from last week. All right, scratch that out. One community announcement, and that is that next week after COL there will be an eat and greet, and you're welcome to bring a snack to share. Remember that next week we'll have the eat and greet after COL. And now we'll move to our moment of time of silence. It lasts for about 5 minutes. You may wish to meditate or pray or just sit silently. There are candles on each side of the room in case you would like to light one for any reason. If you do move around the sanctuary, please do it quietly, and I will let you know when the 5 minutes are up.
Our theme today is love, as it is every day. And I think one of the deepest things of love is also friendship. And this is a Carter family song, a song collected by the Carter family in the Appalachian Mountains. It's one that I learned from John McCutcheon at the Augusta Heritage Festival in 1983. I'm sure none of y'all were alive then. And we sing this a lot with Small Family Orchestra. So it's got a chorus for you, of course.
Never forever.
Steve Runkle from Raleigh, North Carolina, who's no longer with us on the planet, but his music really lives on.
Thank you, Elise. It was beautiful. It's my pleasure to introduce today's speaker, Reverend Kimble Sorrells, and their talk, LOVE, Reflecting on the Human Capacity for Need and Connection. Reverend Kimble is an ordained minister in the United Church of Christ. They're a graduate of Candler School of Theology at Emory University and Berry College. Kimble serves bivocationally, working with Emory University's Center for Contemplative Science and Compassion-Based Ethics, as well as in their Contemplative Ministry that intentionally reaches outside the church walls. Their ministry focuses on using spirituality and contemplative practices to equip us with the peace and resolve to be justice makers in the world. Kimble has experience in a variety of ministry settings. They've worked in LGBTQ advocacy for many years, including as staff for Reconciling Ministries Network and the Atlanta Pride Committee, and organizing with Atlanta trans and queer community. They have also served in local congregations and as a hospital chaplain, community chaplain, and house chaplain for Candler's Formation communities. Please help me welcome Reverend Kimble.
Good morning. It's good to be back with you all today. As we are getting ready for Valentine's, I see we've got all of the balloons and everything here too. So with Valentine's on the horizon, I suppose it seems that love is in the air, or maybe at least the hearts and candy and opportunities to buy someone something to express your love. I know that Valentine's is often kind of critiqued as a little bit of a Hallmark holiday. But perhaps the appeal, I think, is that deep down, one of our most fundamental desires and needs as humans is to love and to be loved, right? The Beatles saying, all you need is love. I was really surprised we didn't go there this morning. But with this congregation, I was like, come on. No, but poets have penned pages and books about it. Spiritual teachers and prophets speak to its centrality in religion and spirituality. There's just something about this love thing that captures our attention. What is love anyway, and why is it so important? Of course, we can always go to our dictionary, right? Webster's dictionary offers us several definitions, including, first one, a strong affection for another arising out of kinship or personal ties. Another definition, attraction based on sexual desire, or even just simply warm attachment, enthusiasm, and devotion. So I grew up in a little bit more of a traditional Christian setting, and at that time I was told there are 3 types of love, right? There's romantic love or erotic love, which this was the Baptist church, so we never said the word erotic, but you know. Then there was brotherly love, you know, this kind of love that we have towards our family, our friends, our loved ones, neighbors, and so forth. And then there was this idea that there was God's love or divine love, some sort of perfect love. And, you know, I know that, you know, here this kind of third category probably doesn't resonate with some folks, but perhaps maybe thinking of that as a sort of unconditional love, in as much as we are able to have that, perhaps like a parent to a child, or, you know, I often think that pets love us unconditionally, dogs might love us unconditionally. So if the idea of God's love doesn't resonate with you, just take God, flip it around, and you have dog's love. And so we were taught these, you know, these distinct, very, you know, distinct types of love, and they were kind of seen as very hierarchical too, right? It was romantic love being sort of this like, lesser kind of thing, and working up to this sort of unconditional, perfect love. And, you know, I suppose that in some ways these kind of categories could be helpful to sort of see what love can look like in different ways. But I don't really so much see them as distinct, actually. And I certainly don't see them as hierarchical. You know, as I've grown older, I find that, you know, perhaps romantic love is at times deeply spiritual. Some theologians have even gone on to suggest that in our romantic connections, this can be a means of accessing the divine or accessing God. That something about this deep connection with another person can be profoundly spiritual. I would even go on to say, you know, perhaps a fling or a one-night stand maybe is temporary, but could be filled with a lot of tender care and nurture. So I don't think it's less than. Perhaps caring for our neighbors, right? Tending to those who are in need can be a way of connecting us to God or to our higher self. Perhaps that is the closest we come maybe to unconditional love. Love looks like many things. So I don't think it's particularly helpful to say that it's only real love when it looks like X, Y, or Z. But I do think that there is something maybe that distinguishes love, or genuine love, from a simple longing or wanting. I saw a video this week of a Buddhist nun, I'm going to try to make sure I pronounce this correctly, Jetsuma Tenzin Palmo. And she said that we often have confusion around what love is, and that kind of misawareness or confusion causes us to suffer and causes angst. So she says it's important to distinguish between grasping and clinging and genuine love. Attachment and clinging, she says, I love you, and I want you to make me happy. She goes on to say that we have this sort of cycle of clinging and grasping to try to show love, and that this is what leads to distress and suffering and angst. That this grasping isn't really love, genuinely, but is more a matter of insecurity and ego. And I think she's really onto something with this distinction, right? right? That genuine love and care for another comes not from the need for that person to make me happy, but rather from a genuine sense of care for them. So if I were to offer up some sort of an idea of what love is, perhaps it is this warm-hearted care and affection without that necessarily being overly attached. And I say overly attached, not no attachment. Overly attached. Because some level of attachment is normal and healthy, right? If we didn't have attachment, we wouldn't have any connection. I think when it's more that when it's not so much an attachment, when it goes into that place of clinging, right? That we move away from love and into a place of angst and distress. Right? So I think about, this idea of like, I can only be happy if this person is in love with me, right? That's not genuine love, that's attachment. Or I can only be happy if you love me in this certain way, or perfectly, or do the dishes the right way, and all of these things. So I don't think this means that we don't have needs, right? We need to receive love and care and nurture to be happy and healthy. We know this, right? That attachment and care and nurture is important, right? If we look at studies around children and attachment, we know that this is a central need for us as humans, probably in as much as the need for food and shelter. But again, I think it's that matter of sort of balancing, right? The need for connection, the need to be nurtured and to receive nurture, but also sort of being able to stay grounded and whole in ourselves. We need to receive love. We also need to be able to give and receive love without that sort of amount of like clinging on to it, right? Again, I think back to my 20s, that idea that, going through and I was just, I'm so enamored with this person, as if my entire happiness was dependent on this person loving me back, or being in love with me, I should say, right? We need to be able to be happy, to be able to give and receive love without things having to be perfectly given back to us. It had to be loved perfectly back, right? As if we all love imperfectly. And perhaps then, since love is so crucial to our own well-being, right? We know that we need this. It's crucial to our own well-being and also to the well-being of others. Maybe it's even more important that we cultivate this ability to love others with affection and care without so much over-attachment to it. And again, this isn't always easy, right? Sometimes we want to cling. We want to, come into things with a certain sense of anxiety or attachment. But I think, though, that when we can focus on loving ourselves fully, right, we are grounded and able to kind of come into something with a place of already being fulfilled, that we can then approach our interpersonal relationships from a place of being grounded in our own wellness and happiness. When we do so, we are healthy. When we are healthy, we are better able to love more genuinely and without this sort of clinging or yearning, wanting the other person to be a certain way or love a certain way. We can love them without expecting them to make us happy, to fulfill every aspect of every need we have, right? And I want to note that for some, our families of origin, maybe parents, maybe people that really should have been primary love providers, that need wasn't met, right? And we know that is a critical need, that lack of that can have harmful, lasting effects, right? And if that's the case, I think being able to take time with that, to use the tools like therapy, to heal is really important. It's important to seek out relationships that are loving and nurturing, especially if those primary relationships were not able to fulfill that need. And I think this is both for one's own well-being, right? But also, again, so that we are able to extend love to others from a more healthy place, right? So if we've done that healing work, we've been able to kind of get grounded in a more authentic, real love, being able to receive love from others, so we're going to be able to relate to other people from a more healthy place. And again, perhaps the importance of love for human flourishing is why so many of our faith and spiritual traditions hold cultivating love and care for others as one of their key components. Many have said that some form of the golden rule, right, do unto others as you would have them do unto you, is to some extent said in all of the religions, and that does seem to be generally the case. Love and connection and care, I think, comes natural for humans. It's part of how we're wired. We naturally have a tendency to care and nurture others. We do, though, tend to mostly care, or more easily care, for those who are close to us, people that are sort of in our own circle, right? Our family, our friends, maybe neighbors, congregation members. And there's nothing wrong with this, right? This is absolutely normal and a kind of evolutionary way that we have survived to sort of build connection and build community, right? So it's good and wonderful that we have those connections. But in these days, it feels like there's just so much hate, right? There's so much war. Reverend Marshall already mentioned this, right? There's so much war. There's so much harm being done. So while it's wonderful that we love and cultivate and emphasize this love and care for those around us, I believe that as spiritual and conscious people, we need to lean into cultivating love that goes a little bit beyond our own inner circle or those that are close to us. If there's anything that this world needs right now, perhaps more love would be it. More concern for others, more care, more nurture. So in my work with the Compassion Center, and as a CBCT teacher, cognitively based compassion training is a modality that we teach. We in this process, we talk about how it is that we expand our circle of concern, right? Expanding care beyond those that are sort of in our most immediate midst. And this starts, to include people that are just a little bit beyond our circle, right? Perhaps strangers, maybe acquaintances, people that we don't necessarily think of every day today. And then perhaps, and as much as is possible, even a little bit further to extending out to perhaps difficult people. And in CBCT, we do this process, we do this by focusing on how it is that these other people are like me. Connecting to our shared human experiences and conditions, right? Or what we would call our common humanity. And why do we start there? Well, again, so we know it's easy to care about those who are in our in group, right? Those who are like us. And to expand this care, we find that it helps to see how others are also like us, like me. And then perhaps starting to shift a little bit to sort of maybe even see them as part of my community of concern. So there's an interesting study that was done in 2005 around soccer, football in Europe, but I know it's Super Bowl Sunday, so we'll stick to soccer. And the study was around the way that people sort of identified with their team and how they would respond to people in distress. So in this study, the first round of study, they had people, Manchester United fans, who were given a survey which they were just asked to reflect on these different points about how amazing Manchester United was. It's the best football team, the best soccer team, so great. All this, right? Now, for those of you who are not soccer fans, Liverpool is Manchester's rival. Okay, so then they prime them with the survey. They say, okay, how great is Manchester United? And then they send them off to go, okay, you have to finish your survey. You got to go across campus to this building over there. And what they didn't tell the participants is that in this study, they have people staged, actors, in distress. And they have them in different shirts. People pass these people in different, maybe they're acting like they have a sprained ankle. So for participants that passed someone in distress that was also wearing a Manchester United jersey, they stopped to help 92% of the time. When they passed someone in a Liverpool jersey, it was only 30% of the time. And for an unbranded survey, because I know we got some scientists in here, we got to have a control, also 30% of the time. Okay, so different study, different set of participants. This round they have them say, okay, we're going to have you take this survey about how great the game of soccer is. The love of soccer. It's the best sport in the world. It's really, I mean, everywhere else in America, it's kind of the sport, right? Okay, so it's amazing. Soccer's so great. I'm going to just focus all on this love of soccer. This time, again, Manchester United fans, they go out, someone in distress in Manchester United, sure, 80% of this time they help this person. So about the same. A little less, but about the same. Here's the thing though, 70% of the time they respond to someone in a Liverpool jersey when that person is in distress. And again, 22 with the unbranded shirt. So what happened here, what caused this shift, right? That they now see this Liverpool person as sort of a part of their in-group. The idea here is that they primed them with this idea of focusing on the game of soccer. How is soccer so great? How is soccer so amazing? So it wasn't so much focusing on being a Manchester United fan, but I'm focusing on soccer and how great it is. And so now when I see someone in a Liverpool jersey, I'm thinking about them as, oh yeah, it's another soccer fan, right? Not my enemy, not the rival, but another soccer fan. And so we see this, right, that this is completely frivolous, right? This is soccer jerseys, okay? But by simply changing how they were primed to think about people and what their focus was, that person's perception of that person as being part of their in-group or out-group shifted. And we see their behavior shift, right? So how it is that we can start to see, is this person in some way like me? Whether it's that they're a Manchester United fan, Falcons fan, I don't know, who's the Chiefs are playing tonight, I think, and the 49ers. Yes, so whether they're your team, you know, or maybe you just think, oh man, this is some great part of the sport. If we can somehow find some place that we see that this person is like me, then our sort of sense of care and concern becomes a little bit easier to extend. So again, this is probably a little bit easier with someone who's a stranger. Maybe walking down the street, you maybe don't even think about people, but then you might think, oh, that person also lives in Camden Park. Okay, cool, that person is kind of like me. Or perhaps, you know, maybe even people we don't know to think about, you know, around the world. But then there's those difficult people. Perhaps hurtful people or harmful people or people who have harmed us or people we love. And do we have to do that? Or can we do that? So to start, I will say, I recommend starting with someone just kind of annoying, okay? So maybe not thinking about the person who's most hurtful to us or who caused us great distress, but maybe just start with someone who's like an annoying coworker or the person who cut us off in traffic, right? Maybe we can start to begin to see, how is this person like me? Is this person also just wanting to get through the day and be happy? Right? I've had this at times where I've had people that I've worked with and I'm like, I'm sure they're a lovely person, but our work personalities just do not, right? But when I'm able to be like, okay, you know what? Like, they're stressed. They're just trying to get this thing done because they need it to get done. And like, they just want to get through their day and go home and get paid and have a nice life. And like, okay, like, none of this is about me. They're just a person like me. And it softens that, right? That I'm maybe not quite so annoyed that they do things a little differently than I do. Because my way is the right way. So we start to see this sort of softening, right? Maybe a little bit. Maybe even then, being able to sort of extend love and care and concern to this person. Again, a little bit easier with someone annoying than someone super challenging. But in as much as we're able, or when we're ready to do that, I think it can be helpful. So recently, a week or so ago, I was, scrolling through social media, like you do, and as someone pops up in a recommendation, it was someone who had sort of really hurt me in the past from their religious extremism, right? They had this sort of homophobia and transphobia wrapped up in religion. And it was a great source of pain for me earlier in life. And so I just leaned into this practice a little bit. And I saw, I thought about this and I thought, yeah, she is a person who, like me, wants to be free from distress and harm. And I was doing this, I noticed, because, I don't know, I guess I'm a glutton for punishment, but I did go look at his profile, because, why not? And I noticed that there was a lot of anxiety that she had. A great deal of anxiety and a great deal of clinging to this particular type of religion as a way of coping with that anxiety. And it just kind of struck me as like, oh yeah, like she too wants to be free from distress and harm and wants to be happy. And it doesn't make her actions okay, right? It doesn't make how she's used religion okay. But somehow, this sort of just softened my response. Softened sort of my anger a little bit. That I was just able to sort of see her in a little bit of a different way, right? Both, this sort of wider perspective, right, of looking at how she is sort of relying on her religion, but also just sort of seeing that, in that way she is like me. And so again, this sort of non-attachment piece about love that we talked about was really helpful in this. And to clarify, that's not something from CBCT. But as I was sort of seeking to find some level of care for this person and seeing, okay, she is like me, and how do I extend love and care to this person in some way? To be able to do so without attachment was really helpful for me, because I say I was not attached because I was not attached to the outcome. I was not expecting her to change. I wasn't expecting her to make amends. Because if I did, I just would have been frustrated. Now, people can change, and she may well change, but I think I have a pretty good guess that that's not going to happen. So for me, to approach her and to try to extend some level of care and concern for her without being attached to whether or not that was going to be received or reciprocated was helpful. Now again, I'm not saying that we're going to hang out. We're not going to, necessarily mend all the things. Boundaries and taking care of yourself are important. Sometimes I can extend love and care from a distance. And that's okay, right? It's okay to protect yourself and to take care of yourself and to have appropriate boundaries for healthy relationships. Rather, what did change is that I shifted. I don't have COVID or anything, but I seem to have inhaled a cat hair or something. So what happened and what shifted is not that she changed, but I shifted, right? When we can see each other's humanity, we can shift, we can soften. And I think that when we can at least shift a little bit, we have that potential to do that deeper healing work, right? That, perhaps if more of us were able to give and shift just a little bit, we might see some change in our world. If more of us were able to see that other as fully human, as like me, maybe we would be able to move past some of the hatred and do some of the deeper work of healing. I think that's possible. This past fall, I was up at Berry College up in Rome, Georgia, and I was sharing about life as a trans pastor and all that good stuff. For those of you who are not familiar with Berry, it is not Atlanta, okay? So overall, the student population tends to lean fairly evangelical or Baptist in that kind of flavor of Christianity, okay? So in the lion's den. Yeah, we have a story about that another time. But during the Q&A, it was the last question that really struck me as actually a good one. They said, if we don't agree, and here I think we're thinking about Christianity and LGBTQ folks, if we don't agree, what is the way forward? And again, for me, I think maybe connecting to this shared humanity might be the starting place. Connecting to our likeness, our how we are the same, might be a way forward. You see, because this person must be able to see my humanity and I see theirs for us to ever be in dialogue. I don't necessarily like the idea of just agree to disagree for the sake of unity, right? I find that to be sort of a cheap way forward. it's not really the real work. So by this person just say, or if a person in this sort of camp would just say, oh, well, I love you, I just don't like your lifestyle. Well, you don't know me. You haven't done the work. You don't know my life, my struggle. And so to say you love me, that's not love. That's not real love at all. If we're ever going to love each other in this world, we have to do that work. We have to see each other's humanity. To see each other's humanity, to see each other's needs, wants, deep desires to be well, to see that first, rather than an issue first. So if ever there was a way forward, if ever there was a time we needed it, to love, to simply see each other as somehow human and like me, perhaps is more critical now than ever. Love. Love. Love, 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 love. We could talk about it all day. If anything in us makes us human, it is perhaps this ability to love, to give and to receive love. And so as we spend the next few days, right, with love in the air, hearts, roses, balloons, all around us as a nice little reminder of love, perhaps let us take these red and pink and purple cues as a reminder to cultivate love, maybe in that moment, maybe with ourselves, maybe with our friends, families, especially if we maybe had a little bump up in the day, maybe with the stranger, or even maybe a little bit beyond our circle to concern. Let us cultivate love that is genuine and full and warm. Perhaps, inasmuch as we're able to continue to expand to an increasingly wider people on earth, especially those who we know are in need of love and care. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Kimble. We have a token of our love. We have been giving speakers our t-shirts. Maybe the world will know you're part of our circle of concern.
Thank you.
Thank you. And for our final congregational song.
In honor of your beautiful message, we're going to sing a song that we rehearsed last time I was here. It is not in your book. It is very difficult. It says, love, sweet love, only love will do. This is a song that I wrote with the wonderful Carrie Garfield.
Thank you, Elise. Thank you, Reverend Kimble. Thank you all for being here and joining in this celebration of life. Please join us next week for Reverend Duncan Teague and his lessons from home. Get the bandages. Suspenseful. The facilitator next week will be Libby Ware, and the musician will be Craig Raffuse. And don't forget about that. Afterwards, we'll have that meet and eat and greet. Yeah. And for our final quote of the morning, back to Bell Hooks and her All About Love, New Vision. There can be no love without justice.